Hey everyone, and welcome to the very first GVG tier list. The Mario Kart 8 Deluxe DLC is finally out, Wave 1. We've got 8 brand new tracks, and to discuss this, I am joined with Derek.
Hello.
And Steve.
Hey, how's it going?
So this might be chill. There might be some bad vibes between us, because we'll be debating a lot. We might even tear each other's hair out.
Yeah. I go for the jugular, showing you guys that my opinion is right.
Wow, we're already starting with violence.
But we're starting with 8 tracks, and there are going to be 48 of these. And, guy, that's a lot of tracks. I'm not sure how we're going to even store these on our Switches. We're going to need help. And thankfully, we've got the best of the best. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is 7.3 gigabytes on the eShop, and with 48 brand new tracks, that number's going to keep getting higher and higher and higher as the waves release. If you don't have a microSD card, your Switch will be begging for free space. Please give me more internal storage, mister. But you don't just want any generic microSD card. They could explode! What you need is a trusted brand like SanDisk. This segment was made possible by our friends over at SanDisk. Thank you, SanDisk. These are Nintendo licensed memory cards for Nintendo Switch from SanDisk, with groovy little designs on them. This is the 256GB model with a cute little superstar, and with this, my Switch can destroy all my enemies. Note your Switch will not become invincible and stop all your enemies. These come in multiple different sizes, each with a specific Mario Kart design. The 128GB model gives you this fancy red super mushroom design. Of course, there's the 256GB model with the Superstar, which will destroy all your enemies. And lastly, there's the 400GB blue shell design. If anything, this one will destroy your enemies. SanDisk also have a range of other designs ranging up to 512GB. Look at this Animal Crossing one. You could store 83 copies of New Horizons on this thing. For anyone buying a Switch or looking for upgraded storage, these are essential. They even make the perfect gift for any Switch owner. Happy birthday, Mum. Don't take the risk. Go with SanDisk. That isn't their slogan. Thank you, SanDisk, and we're going to go on to ranking these first then. So the very first one is from the Golden Dash Cup, Paris Promenade. And this comes from Mario Kart Tour. It's been around for a while now, but personally, I didn't play this in Tour. I've only experienced this for the first time in 8 Deluxe. What about you guys?
This is my first time.
Yeah, it's the same for me.
Yeah.
Oh, first times all around.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really lovely too. I'm very surprised at. I didn't expect Tour to have such nice tracks.
Yeah. I think what helps it a lot is the fact that they combined them. Like I did that whole prediction video on what courses we could see in the future, and one of the ideas I had was kind of treat it like the Excitebike course, where it just changes each time you go in. Instead, they combined them where each lap is a different course, and I think that makes it so much more interesting than my idea, honestly.
Yeah, I wasn't a big Tour guy, and a lot of that was because of the mechanics of the game, but also I felt a lot of the tracks, the original ones, like New York Minute, I felt they were quite basic, and I think changing them from lap to lap changes that. It's like Sonic and All-Stars Racing Transformed almost, where every lap has a different route, and it makes it feel less like just one basic circle, and more like something that's constantly changing, and that is way more interesting. And just the setting in general has like this rosy sort of pink kind of haze to it. And the music, we were streaming this earlier, Derek, and you said like this is way too calm for Mario Kart. But it's works.
A lovely day out in Paris, you know?
Yeah.
I just want to grab a baguette and hang out. I don't need to go racing.
But sorry, go ahead, Steve.
Oh, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I was gonna say I actually really enjoyed that it was kind of a different pace musically than what we're used to hearing in Mario Kart. When I was capturing footage for this, I played through as Villager, and I was like, this is, you know, to borrow a word from John, this is pretty cozy. Like, I really like this track.
Yeah, it's cozy as heck. I'm struggling to find out exactly where I land on this one, though, because it definitely is a good track. It's definitely distinct. But does it belong with the best of the best? I'm not sure about that.
I don't think so. I think it's one big thing that makes it stand out above the others is the fact that the third lap you're going in the opposite direction.
Yes.
You don't see that too often, and that is a pretty unique pull. And so I think that does raise it a bit more than certain other tracks.
I agree. I think there's a unique element to this that for me puts it a little bit above a lot of the tracks even within the DLC, but not, beyond that, even within Mario Kart. Because like you said, Derek, there's, this is kind of unique among Mario Kart tracks. I like it. And maybe it's because it's not a returning track, so I'm not familiar with it at all. Well, a returning track, for people that didn't play Tour, which I have a feeling is probably quite a few people. But I liked it in the sense that when comparing it, and we'll talk more about all the other tracks later, this one felt like it offered something that the other tracks didn't, in that it kind of changed and shifted. Once you thought you had it down, the next lap would come and you realize that you kind of learning as you go. It's very hard to anticipate what to expect on this track.
It's very organic too. It feels like a real place, probably because it's based on a real place, but it just feels like you're racing through the streets of Paris, and there's a good vibe to that. Personally, I think I wouldn't put this any higher than B, and I'm even debating with myself if it even is B, but I think it's not A in my mind.
I'd agree with that.
I agree with that.
Yeah, I would not put it at A. I do think it is firmly at a B.
I'm happy to settle on a B.
I was kind of vacillating between C and B, but I don't think it's bad. And I would, considering C is like the second lowest, I would say that this is probably a good baseline track. Like it's not too difficult for beginners, and it still offers kind of a way of switching up for people that are more seasoned Mario Kart veterans. So I would agree with you guys. I think a B is appropriate.
B for Baguette. There you go. Go in B, Paris.
There we go. It has been slaughtered.
Alright, so next up is Toad Circuit from 3DS. And this was always like one of the starting tracks in that game. So I guess the point of it is always to be a little bit basic. So how do you guys feel about this track, knowing what it is? It doesn't really change much from 3DS. It's the exact same gimmick, the exact same ramp that goes up, the exact same corners, same shortcuts. It's basically just the exact same as it was in Mario Kart 7. Does that reduce its value at all?
I came away from this with no strong feelings either way. I would say of all the tracks that I played, this was probably the least memorable. And that's not to say that it's bad, but it's also not to say that it's good either. Like I had no strong feelings about this either way. This could be at the bottom of the list or right in the middle, and I don't think I'd really be offended by either one of those decisions. But it really is, like you said, it's a starter course, and it's one that's meant to just kind of familiarize you with the game it comes from. It's a weird choice to start off the first wave of DLC with, in my opinion.
It is a little bit, and I think one thing that makes this a little bit weak too is a lot of the tracks in here look pretty good. I think there's a bit of a stigma that they're straight from Tour, they're going to look bad, but I think a lot of them pull it off, and I'm not sure if this is one of them. Like, if you look at the grass, it's just a pure green texture. Like, there's no actual depth to any of the grass or anything. And I think this ends up looking like one of the most basic tracks in the entire game.
I never picked up 7, so this is my first time ever going along this course. It makes sense that it's the first. Honestly, it feels like this should have been placed earlier in the Grand Prix, set than Paris, because Paris feels more complex than this. This is just so basic, and there's some nice drifting you can do in this. Like, I feel good going around the turns. They give you a ramp in the second and third laps. That's nice, changes it up, but it's so basic. And we've all been playing Mario Kart for a while now, that having going back to a basic course just makes it purely unmemorable, and it's pleasant, but that's about it.
Yeah, it's not bad. I like the point where there's a ramp and you go over it, and there's a bridge, and sometimes players are on that bridge and you sort of fly over them. Like that's a cool feeling. But again, it is a starter course. It's not exceptional. It's not bad, though. So I feel like this is more of a C than a D. Like, it's not a bad course. It's just a fine course.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think a C is appropriate for this, because I think we all agree that it's not as interesting, or certainly not as memorable as Paris. And I would hesitate to put it on the same tier as that.
Yeah, it's not terrible. I don't hate playing it, but it's also, I'm not going to go out of my way to choose it. Like, that's all it is. It's, as Steve said, it is completely average.
Well, this has been just a whole segment of agreeing so far, so I guess Toad Circuit is going in C. But perhaps the next track will
go.
cause a bit of debate.
Oh boy.
Oh boy.
So, this is Choco Mountain, which I think is a very iconic track from from Mario Kart 64. And I'm not positive that I love every change here. So, I think this has always been so memorable because of the fog. Like, you see the fog in the distance, you drive towards it, and you've got the part where the boulders come down. Like, there's lots of iconic moments from this track. And I've got to say, parts of it, I just don't recognize. I recognize the boulder part, I recognize the start. I don't recognize the tunnels. It feels kind of different to my memories of Choco Mountain.
Yeah.
See, now that's interesting because for me, this is one of my favorite courses in all of the DLC.
Oh.
I think what puts it over the top for me is the music.
Oh, it's good. Yeah,
yeah.
it is good.
It is incredibly good. And as someone who played 64 when it came out and then not much after that, like I played it when it was the new Mario Kart. And then, you know, when Double Dash came out, I moved on to that and kept moving on. And I don't really look back with Mario Kart very often. So this had just enough memorable elements to me to satisfy, you know, for it to register in my brain as, yes, this is Choco Mountain. This is what I remember. Without feeling too dissonant from the original. So for me, I would personally put this one at an A tier because it's
wow.
one of my favorites. Maybe even second only to another one that we'll talk about later.
Okay.
Wow.
What about you, Derek?
I don't have as much familiarity with Choco Mountain. I didn't get to 64 until way later, and I only played it occasionally with friends or finally on my own when I got it on the Wii Virtual Console, and thinking this is what everybody was hyped about because that had vastly improved by that point. But Choco Mountain stuck out to me because there was always this element of danger to it, where I remember this very thin section where it was very easy to just fall into like a crevice. And that's not here.
Yeah.
And I kind of miss that. It doesn't have the same element of danger that had. And that's what's kind of sticking out to me the most, is that it's a fine course, well themed, has the fog, has great music, all that. But I don't think it goes above and beyond for me. I think it's good. I enjoy racing it, but that danger element is gone, and I miss that.
You're totally right. Like, there's that point with all the boulders, and if you fall off, like, that cost you major time in the original. Whereas now it's just like, go back up. And so that even the falling boulders don't feel dangerous anymore. I will say one thing though, a friend of the channel Bloops, while we were streaming, he said that he actually loves this course because of the changes. Because there's moments he doesn't recognize. It's like it feels new and fresh. And that is a good perspective to look at it at. I think one change I just don't like though, is at the end, there's that ramp that goes to the finish line. It feels like it's just cutting off part of the course, to me. Like, it just doesn't feel complete, in a sense. But I think looking in that mindset, I do appreciate the changes more, with that viewpoint. But I don't know if I can land with an A personally, Steve. I like the course.
Oh no.
I love the music. The music's
Yeah.
great. I want to praise all the music, by the way. We didn't talk about this in Toad Circuit, but that uses a synth, but it also uses the big band to kind of like accompany that, and it works really well. And I think this is just a brilliant composition. It's a really good arrangement.
Yeah, I would say the music plays a really big part for me in pushing this one over the B tier for me, because I think as just a course, it's you know, it's evocative of what we played on the N64, and I like that a lot, but the music kind of puts me back into that mindset of how much I enjoyed the original version of the course. And I think that's kind of what pushes me over. Also, I may be a little bit biased, but I was intentionally playing with Wario, who was my favorite Mario Kart 64 character, and I was playing with really big wheels so that drifting was intentionally more difficult than it is, you know, if you pick a good kart loadout. So I definitely had issues like drifting around the boulders and getting out of the way of those with the kart that I had chosen. But I think most players will find that this is probably significantly easier. So I could accept that without nostalgia in play, it could probably go down to a B in my opinion. But I would struggle to put this lower than B.
I'm happy with B.
Yeah,
Are you
I
accepting
can't
that,
put
Derek?
it lower than a B. This is
All
it's
right.
still more exciting
Yeah.
than Toad Circuit put out there, and there you have the fun. There's definitely some fun elements in here. It's a great themed course. I just don't think it goes above and beyond. And yeah, firmly fall at B.
Agreed. Okay, that's fine.
All right.
Now,
B it is.
we have a really iconic stage. I feel like this is one of the most iconic tracks from all of Mario Kart Wii, and that's Coconut Mall. I think they know as well. Like during the trailer, they were just blasting the Coconut Mall theme. They know people love this track. But what do we think about the remake?
In a word, it's good.
Yeah. I'm noticing gaps in my Mario Kart play history because, like, I got it for Double Dash and DS, but then I didn't pick it up again until basically 8. So there's a lot of courses here I missed out on.
Oh, really? Wow.
And I played a little bit with friends in Coconut Mall, but I don't remember it being this amazing. I really enjoyed Coconut Mall, and the layers it has, the theming. I don't know. This stands out as a great course to me.
Yeah, I think one thing I loved about the original, though, was those escalators, just going up those bumpy escalators. And they've kind of gotten rid of that. They're less escalators, they're more of just conveyor belts now.
Ramps,
and
yeah.
That
they don't have that bumpy feeling as you go up.
Yeah, it feels like a downgrade in that respect. But the actual track itself is still great. It's still just so fun, racing through a mall, taking shortcuts through the stores. Like, it's just a really great theme, and it's pulled off brilliantly. And again, the music. Instead of those sort of MIDI saxophones, we now have actual saxophones, and it's great. It's a really, really good arrangement. I guess one other thing was changed, though, was the cars at the end. They used to drive back and forth.
Don't move.
And now they're just stationary.
I actively dislike that change.
Okay.
I'm just going to go out and say it because I loved the thrill of weaving in and out of those cars and getting out of the way at the end of each lap. And now it feels like it's just easier. And I don't know that I love that.
My first reaction when I heard about it was, yeah, I hated those cars because they used to always ruin my times. But in practice, actually playing this course, it just feels like this is just a straight end now. It's just a straight finish. There's no actual challenge. And it makes me wonder why those cars are even there, because they don't get in the way anymore.
It definitely feels like an active element of this being pulled from Tour, because everybody realizes that at this point, this DLC is all being pulled from Tour. Its designs, everything else, it's just being bumped up a bit and given actual controls. It's nice, but because of Tour and the way you have, the way it controls, you can't have those weaving elements like you could in Wii. So they had to park the cars, and unfortunately, that does take away some of the thrill of it, especially at the end there, where it could really mean whether you win or lose.
Yep.
And they kind of get in the way, but not enough to matter. I had no issues getting around them, and it's fine. It's just like, here's some extra obstacles that really don't feel like obstacles.
Yeah, there's also one element from Wii that's gone. And this hasn't really appeared in any other Mario Kart game, but we had those like half pipes, those sort of blue boosters on ledges that you can kind of like jump up and jump down on. And there's part of Coconut Mall where there is a half pipe, but there's no booster. And it just feels like that component's missing. And to be honest, I never loved that component. I felt like that often just, it took time away rather than speeding you up most of the time. But it still feels like something's just not there. So, in my opinion, Coconut Mall is a brilliant level. It's a brilliant track. But I don't think it's a better stage than the Wii version.
Agreed. I think that there's just enough missing from it to make it not live up to the original. For me, it's the cars. For me, it's easily the cars. Like, that was a deciding factor. I remember having so many tight races where someone would hit one of those cars, and that would be the deciding factor between who came in first versus who came in second. And I'm a little sad that they're not there to kind of mess you up at the end of a run.
Yeah, like, to be honest, Coconut Mall to me would be S if this had everything back. Everything I love, the actual escalators, the moving cars at the end. If they had all of that, I think this would be an easy S, but it isn't. I think I'll probably put it in A, though, unless you guys want to talk me down from that.
No, see, I've been firmly in A's this entire time just because I did enjoy it that much. But even though I don't have familiarity with the original Wii version, I can see where the elements are lost and it doesn't quite nail everything. It doesn't come out as this amazing course. Truly amazing course. And it's still a fun track. But not quite to the point where you can rank it as an S tier for Mario Kart, and just
Right.
a really, really good A rank. But what about you, Steve? Because you sound like you're going to be a little bit lower.
I actually feel like Coconut Mall probably would be an A for me.
Okay.
And that's I still like so much about it. The cars missing is a big deal for me, but I agree with John in that, if it was faithful to the original, it would be an S, because it is one of the best Mario Kart tracks of all time. But I still had so much fun, like jumping over the fountains and riding up the escalator, even if it was, it felt like an approximation of the original. But an approximation is still a really good course. And so for me, I can't drop it more than one letter because I do think it's much more fun to play than both Paris and Choco Mountain. So I'd have to give it an A based on that alone.
Yeah, fully agreed.
Agreed.
Well, that is that cup done. So on to the second cup, the Lucky Cat Cup. And I guess starting us off is another tour track. We have Tokyo Blur, which is something I also did not play in Tour. Did either of you guys play this in Tour?
Nope.
Or was it brand new to you?
Nope.
Okay, brand new to all of us. What do you guys think of... I've been starting all this. What do you guys think about Tokyo Blur?
Boring.
Yeah.
I'm gonna just call it out. I did not enjoy the, and those of you that know me personally, like I've wanted to go to Japan since I was a kid, and this is about the closest I'm gonna get, and I was just very let down by it. I felt like, I wasn't expecting like over the top, like, stereotypical Japanese stuff, but I also was hoping for a bit more visual flair and a bit more interesting course design. I didn't find anything that really stood out to me as being wild or interesting about this course. You could see Tokyo Tower off in the background.
You got the
But to
Rainbow
me,
Bridge.
I expected... Yeah, I expected to like this one more than Paris, and the opposite ended up being true. I think that this is like an inferior version of the Paris track. It has changes, just like Paris did, so each lap is different, but ultimately it was all just kind of middling. Like the course design to me just wasn't very interesting.
Yeah, because in Tokyo you can go left or right, and you go left one lap, and then you go right one lap, and then you take this curve on another lap, and it's nothing really that different from lap to lap, and it's fine. It's nothing bad about it. It is what it is, but it definitely feels the most tour-like in that nothing is really truly exciting about it. It's just a course designed to give people wide berth and let them play around with it and get a feel for how Tour controls. And no one element really stands out. You don't have this moment where you're going backwards through the course, or like Paris, or having multiple paths to pick. I don't even think there's any shortcuts in this other than one in the third lap where you can cut across the grass a little bit, and that's about it. It just comes across as a little dull, fine, but dull.
Yeah, I think there's minor shortcuts. Like there's roundabouts, and then in the middle there's little like piranha plant cardboard cutouts you can sort of boost through, but they're not major. I want to disagree and make this interesting, but no, this feels like one of the low points of the DLC. And like Derek says, it feels like a Tour track. And that's not an insult to all of Tour, because some of the Tour tracks, like we'll probably talk about later, can be quite interesting. But yeah, this one's just a bit basic. It's more basic than Toad Circuit, so I think this is probably our D tier one, to be honest.
What did I put it?
Yeah,
D?
I agree with that assessment. I was struggling between C and D, but then once I started talking and the words started coming out, I was like, oh, you're talking about a D tier track.
Yeah.
See, I'm not sure if I'd put it that low. I to me, this is about equal with Toad.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I can be talked down, obviously. I mean, I'm not going to go, it's 2-on-1 at this point, but I'm just putting it out there that I don't think, to me, D is kind of like awful. It doesn't feel awful. It's just a little boring, which I kind of felt the same way for Toad.
For me, the difference is the premise, right? Like, Toad is meant to be a very vanilla course. Like, that, by design, is a unremarkable course. I don't think Tokyo was meant to be a course that would, not excite the player. I think it was very much meant to be an exciting course, and I think they failed on the execution of it. So that, for me, is what lowers it from a C to a D. They might be equally kind of unremarkable, but one is clearly meant not to be, where the other one kind of is.
Yeah, I think Toad Circuit 2, there's very little to criticize about it. I mean, it's not interesting. Well, it's not that extravagant, I should say. But it's got things going for it. Like, it's got the ramp that goes over the bridge. It's got the shortcut over the grass. It's at least a very well-designed track, even if it is a bit dull. Whereas this one, and it's not poorly designed, it's just kind of unremarkable in pretty much every way. I think if you take away the Rainbow Bridge, take away Tokyo Tower, take away the mountains, I think you're left with just probably one of the most basic Mario Kart tracks.
That is very true.
Ever.
I guess you could really compare it to a track designed for another lesser kart game. In that way, if you look at it that way.
Just say what you mean, Derek. This is a Crash Bandicoot track.
Oh, hey, I do not take Crash Bandicoot slander. I enjoyed Crash Team Racing. I thought you were going to go Chocobo GP.
Ooh, wow. Chocobo GP's got good course design.
Okay.
Has this convinced you of D tier then, Derek?
Oh, no, I'm not going to fight this one. I can totally see D. I'm just putting out personally why I consider it kind of equal to Toad Circuit.
All right,
fair enough.
We've got to use the whole ranking scheme. We don't want to skim on D tier. If we think it's D tier, we've got to use D tier. So next up, though, is Shroom Ridge from Nintendo DS. And to be honest, I don't have fond memories of the DS original. However, playing this in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah. I would say that I agree with that. It was, I wasn't over the moon about it, but it was definitely fun. I enjoyed playing this. I didn't think, I don't remember the DS one. Mario Kart 7 is probably my least played entry in the series, but I came away from this pretty positive. I really had fun racing this course. I think I played it 3 or 4 times actually, and I liked every turnaround I had with this.
It's a lot of fun to drift. I think that's the big thing.
Yeah.
It's cool to drift and get weave around the cars. You have that car element there to make it a little bit more interesting. Have that fun tunnel. I don't know why, because you do it in other courses, but I guess it's been so long since I've played Mario Kart that I had a little ooh moment when you get one into the tunnel and your lights turned on. And
that was cool.
Yeah,
I don't know. That was kind of neat, but it does it with other tracks. I don't know why it just got me an ooh moment here, but it does stand out as memorable. And there are some good shortcuts, but you really need to be prepared. Like that air current. Like I attempted the air current. I did not succeed. So I like that little extra challenge. That could really save you time, but you need to have the right setup in order to get that shortcut.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that tunnel that you mentioned, Derek, is one of my favorite moments in all of the DLC. Like drifting through that entire tunnel and hugging the inside wall is incredibly fun. I love this course just for the amount of drifting you get to do. I still have not been able to hit any of the cars with a surfboard on it, and I really want to. But I'm never lined up right for them.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, one thing, though, I suppose, maybe to the discredit of this, is it's not that unique anymore. Like, if you think about the DS game, this is the track with the moving cars. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe has that already. Like, Toad's Turnpike is basically the same gimmick. And it's not fair, really, to judge the course by that merit. But if we're just judging this in the whole package of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, is it still unique?
No, but I don't necessarily think that it needs to be.
Yeah, it loses that uniqueness, but it also has, I think the roads are thinner as well, which I think gives it a little bit of a difference to Toad's Turnpike. But go ahead, Steve. I'm sorry for cutting you off.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say, I think that this one is more of a showcase for drifting, more so than probably any other course that I can think of in the entire roster of tracks. And I kind of like that about it. Like, it's towards the back half of this track, you're constantly drifting around corners. And I really, really like that about this. And I don't think the moving cars are necessarily something that has to be unique to Toad's Turnpike. I think that they provide an interesting challenge when you're focusing strictly on trying to pull tight corners. Cars get in the way and kind of mess up your plans, and you might have to boost out of a turn early, which can make things pretty chaotic if you're playing with people instead of the computer. And that, to me, can lead to a lot of fun situations. So I'm okay with having these moving cars in more than one course. Definitely not unique. Definitely doesn't have the same appeal that it did on the DS, but still overall a really solid course in my opinion.
Yeah, I was just trying to create drama there, because honestly, I think I prefer this to Toad's Turnpike. I think this has closer quarters fighting. There's a lot of chaotic, there's just a bunch of chaotic nature to it too. Like, if you're all in one group with items flying everywhere and avoiding cars at the same time, and are you going to go for the shortcut? You're not going to go for the shortcut. It just feels really well fleshed out. But one thing Toad's Turnpike does do well is it has that anti-gravity moment where you can go on the wall and just avoid traffic. And of course, none of these tracks have any anti-gravity, and that feels like a little bit of a waste. I think this track could have benefited from it. But I still think that this, for me, could possibly be B tier.
You know what? When I first was like looking at each of these and just doing thoughts, I initially was going to give this a C tier, but upon talking about it and reflecting on it and thinking about the kind of challenges of it, yeah, I'd agree. I think it increased in my opinion just in this conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was already solidly in the B tier camp for this one. I think that it definitely, if I look at the other courses we placed there, this one absolutely lives up to those. But it definitely isn't quite on the level of Coconut Mall for me.
Yeah, I can't really bash this anymore. Like, it just feels like a really good track. I mean, it doesn't stand out that much with its gimmick anymore. But I still think it's just really well designed. So I think that's just a all-around B tier from us.
Yeah.
Okay, this one though, Sky Garden, I was really excited for. I felt like most GBA tracks remade are great. Like, the cheese one is brilliant, the toy one is brilliant. This looks great, I think it sounds great, but god, it's basic as hell. It's
yes,
it's really short.
You know Steve's comment about Tokyo, you strip away the dressing around it and you have a pretty basic course. I think this is almost more so.
Yeah, I think I agree. And I wasn't a big fan of Super Circuit at the time. I thought the tracks were imaginative, but I didn't love the mechanics. And I think when you strip away the mechanics, when you strip away the sort of like slippery nature of that game, you're left with a very simple and easy track. And there's a few moments I like driving over the Vine Bridge. It's a short moment, but it reminds me of the original a lot. But there's nothing interesting. There's no anti-gravity again, which I think could have been interesting for this. There's not even any, like, flying or anything. It just feels... You just go around and it's done. Actually, I think there's one flying segment.
There's one flying segment at the end, but that says something when you don't even remember it, John.
Yeah. And it's not even in-depth. Like, it's not like you can take a shortcut. Everyone flies over a little gap and that's it.
Yeah, it's interesting, John. You were talking about, with the last course, about its gimmick kind of being stolen already in Toad's Turnpike. I feel like this one in particular, like, I was reminded of an existing course, and of course the name is escaping me, but it's the one where you end up landing on Bowser's airship and then going through the clouds and shooting off, through the sky.
Cloudtop Cruise.
Cloudtop Cruise, that's it.
Yeah.
This is
Sky Garden feels like a vastly inferior version of Cloudtop.
Absolutely. I had the same thought.
Even to the point that we had the leaves you could bounce on to make a small short. I could never make it work in this course, but in the beginning of Cloudtop Cruise, one of the early turns, you could jump off 2 leaves and then take a shortcut without skipping a corner, essentially.
Absolutely.
And this one has a very similar setup, I think, with mushrooms, perhaps, instead.
Yeah, you're right.
And I remember thinking, like, this is just Cloudtop Cruise without the interesting bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It looks good still. Like, it's a nice style, but I think that's really all it has going for it.
Exactly. Yeah, I would argue that this is probably a D tier for me.
Yeah.
Like I would say
No
it's just
arguments.
not a good course.
Yeah.
No arguments.
This
here.
was going to be my only D tier for this whole set, and yeah, it's just boring. There's nothing to it.
Well, we've been agreeing a lot, and I feel like that's not going to stop, because the next one, Ninja Hideaway, I think might be one of my favorite Mario Kart tracks ever now, after playing it. And this has been in tour since April, apparently. I had no idea.
What? Really?
Yeah, I had no idea. But I'm playing it for the first time, and I've never played a Mario Kart track with this much verticality. When we were streaming, Derek said this is like a Sonic level, and he is so right. Like, if you fall down to a different tier, you can still just keep going. There's still items for you. Like staying at the top is probably ideal, but it's just this constant brilliant pace. It's not like you fall off and Lakitu brings you up, you just keep going. There's so many like little traps and secret areas. I love it. I think this is a brilliant track.
Completely.
Yeah. I
Go ahead, Steve.
we're gonna remain in agreement here because
We are of one
this is-
hive mind.
yeah, from the moment I saw the Mario Kart banner being held together by bamboo, like at the beginning of the, I was like, this is going to be a great stage. And like racing through, I personally prefer the bottom course because I love dodging all the shuriken that are like taped to the ceiling and coming down towards you. But you know, every bit of this course is absolutely charming. Like you guys said, the verticality is ridiculous. Like there's 3 tiers throughout the stage that you can go through. And then there's traps. Like I don't remember any other Mario Kart tracks where traps were laid just on the track itself waiting for you.
Yeah, those shy guys
like
that
if
transform into banana peels, like that shocked me when I
Yeah.
saw that. That completely unexpected.
Exactly. And then when you hit the bamboo shoots with the updrafts in them, there are shy guys, just like Ninja, like taped to the backs of kites, like waiting to knock you out of the air. I thought that was really cool. This is, for my money, maybe the best Mario Kart track I've ever played in my life.
Whoa,
Wow.
okay. That is high praise.
I'd have
don't
to
know.
really look through them all to
I'd have to
say whether I
reflect, yeah.
agree. Yeah, but
Yeah, that
it's up
yeah.
there.
I won't like discourage you on that because that's such. I feel like I felt that feeling, like that feeling of, well, this is one of the best tracks I've ever played in Mario Kart. I'd have to reflect to say if it's my favorite overall, but I can't disagree. It's just really, really well made. And one thing as well, this is in the same cup as Tokyo Blur. What you start
What a
with Tokyo
difference.
Blur and you end with this. I feel we've put Tokyo Blur in the right place by, like, with that comparison right there. Starting with that, ending with this. It's phenomenal. And if anyone doesn't put it in S, I don't want to see them. I don't want to see them ever.
Yeah, there was so many legitimately shocking moments where they had that little stairway soon after you start that takes you up to the higher tier, and then you can keep going. And it just shocked me that there was that much. And then you complete your first lap, and if you hit the gliding section, you go up into a above where you usually start. It like you can go even higher than when you were in the first lap. It's that kind of verticality and changes and shifting and trying to figure out the right path at the right time that just makes it stand out so much. Great theming. I love the fact that it's kind of a Wario level because you have the garlic and the little swirlies underneath. So you have his like his nose. It's great theming, great track design, and just really fun all around. It really does feel like this is the one that everybody's like, where'd this track come from, and how did it originate in Tour? It is just that good.
Yeah, this is what I was saying earlier, that not every tour track is bad. This was specifically the one I was talking about.
Yeah.
I haven't played every tour track. There's still a bunch that I'm going to experience for the first time through this DLC. And I've played other ones like New York Minute within Tour itself, and I thought that was really basic.
Oh, yeah.
So that's kind of changed my perception of what all the tour tracks are like. But no, this one comes in. It's like they can be masterpieces. And yeah, I think this is easily the best of all the DLC so far.
Can we all at least agree that not having any Ninja in this track is kind of a shame?
It is.
Yeah, it is.
That's a little weird.
Yeah, like the Shy Guy are cute. I love that they themed them, but you've got to have Ninja. Come on.
At least somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Could have them be the ones flying in the air for the kites.
It would be S+ if they had Ninja, but otherwise I think it's S.
Easy S.
Agreed. There we go. Top of the tier list.
Well, look at that, fellas. The
Yeah.
official ranking. No one can disagree with this.
Nope.
I'm pretty happy with where we landed on this. I know we didn't all agree on everything, but I think no one's crying over any of these placements.
No, it's actually because we did not talk about this beforehand. We came in with just all fresh opinions and
Yeah.
ended
Yeah.
up this close. Like only a few minor disagreements here and there. And looking at it overall, we got more hits than misses.
Yeah, absolutely. Like,
Yeah,
even
agreed.
Toad Circuit isn't a bad track. I mean, C is a good ranking. It's fine. D, you don't want to be in D. Unfortunately, those two over
Yeah.
there, they're the low points. I'm going to be interested to see how this pans out for the rest of the DLC, because there's some great Mario tracks out there, and I don't know if we all agree on all of them. So perhaps any future tier lists may not be as buddy-buddy as this one. There
Yeah.
might be some bloodshed
There
next
will
time.
be bloodshed.
There
and
will
maybe
be bloodshed.
maybe some of the changes made, like with Coconut Mall or Choco Mountain, will be much more detrimental in those later courses.
Maybe. Well, I guess we're ending now, aren't we?
Yeah.
It's over.
Well, let us know what you guys think about our ranking, and suppose if you want to rank yourself, we can leave a link to the tier list in the description below, and you can show us your thoughts on Twitter, or anywhere else you want to contact us and show us what you think about these tracks. Are we wrong? Have you been shouting at us this entire time? Let us know. And you can follow us on the Twitters at Good Vibes Gaming. We also have a Patreon, where we do a bunch of stuff. Derek, you're better at Patreon. What do we do on Patreon?
Well, I'd say Steve is the best one at Patreon. He knows how to sell it. Steve, I'm going to pass it to you once again.
All right. Well, if you would like to join the best damn Discord community on the internet, you can find us at patreon.com/GVGofficial. We have tiers ranging from $5 to join us for live discussions each and every week, as well as producers and executive producers. Some of y'all will see yourselves in the credits down below, where we also offer exclusive merchandise and other cool perks like that if you'd like to find out more. Again, patreon.com/GVGofficial.
Steve has practiced this. So thank you again for watching, and we'll see you guys next time. Bye, everyone.